Hello, and welcome back to Let's Play Unrest. My name is Marlo, and we are continuing the series here. When we last left off, we just helped plan an attack on the council as Asha in her bid to reclaim the throne, but now we are playing as Shyam, a mercenary captain and counselor who is 40 years old. Now, the interesting thing about this is going to be that Asha was just plotting against this guy. So, do we kind of game the system and play in such a way as to fall into the trap that we've set so that Asha can retake the throne? Or do we play as if we are this character and we don't know that any of that has happened? That'll be interesting to discover. Of course, the other thing, that'll be interesting is to even see if any of those decisions related to the plot that we were making with Asha against Shyam and his men even comes up in this character storyline. So that remains to be seen. Now, before we get started, let me just say that I'm going out of town for 2 or 3 days on a business trip, and so I will not be posting any videos during that time, unfortunately. But as soon as I get back, the series will resume on its, more or less once a day schedule. So sorry about that, but there's real life calls, nothing I can do about it. But at any rate, let's go over our new character here. So we are Shyam, as I said just before, and the box here states that after the royals were assassinated, both your business and responsibilities increased significantly. Of course, you knew this would happen when you aided Vijay in their demise, just like you knew that the slums would erupt in violence sooner or later. Today's the day you've been readying yourself for since you joined the council. Your company is holding the line between the slums and the rest of Bimra. While they await further orders, Vijay has called a special meeting of the council to discuss what should be done about the riots, if anything. Alright, let's check out our traits. We're a combat veteran. Shyam has been in a few battles and even killed a few people. We're a city councilor. Shyam's charge is to keep the city defended, and we are a company leader. Shyam leads his own mercenary company. Right. So, alright, now we'll hit continue here, and as usual, we have several housekeeping matters here that we can see. We are in the interior of the palace. It's our current location. We've looked at our traits, as usual. Let's check out our quests. Alright, here's the active quest. Right. Council's called a meeting, which means I need to drop what I'm doing and get to the chambers. So, there we go. That's our active quest. Completed quest is the council. Your job is to keep Bimra from collapsing in on itself. Vijay oversees the council, and everyone else has a special area they're responsible for watching fail. That's interesting. Alright, we've got various people here. Let's go through them. There's the assassin. You only actually saw his face a few times before he killed the king and queen. You know he did his job, and you know Vijay wants him dead now. Yes, I'm sure he's inconvenient to have around. Laxmi. Of course, we've encountered Laxmi on several occasions before. You didn't know Laxmi before you joined the council, but you did know her husband right before he died of mysterious circumstances. She's responsible for ferreting out troublemakers on the farms. Rhea. Rhea used to be an ambassador for the Naga Empire. Now her job is to alternate between begging the council to help the Naga population and threatening Bimra with invasion. Alright, Vijay. Vijay's the reason you got the job of defending Bimra. Vijay has planned to kill the royal family. And your involvement is the reason you got the job of counselor. And then Ranveer. The counselor overseeing religion and the security of the slums. He's never seemed to like you very much. Alright, and of course we have a few things in our inventory. Okay, we have a lot of things in our inventory. We have a map of the city. The only part that matters to your job, the defensive line, is inked on. We have armor. It's lightweight and flexible, mostly for show these days. We have a water flask, a must for any kind of work. A soldier needs a water flask more than he needs a weapon. We have a sword. Old, but well-conditioned and reliable. You don't get too attached to these. We have a cleaning rag. For every minute you spend using your gear, you spend 2 cleaning it. We have a gold ring, a good luck charm looted in Shyam's early days. Also, jewelry is universal currency that you can wear. A knife, always have a contingency plan. A comb, the secret to a proud, bristling mustache. You often say that you can't win a war with tangled hair. Well, you wouldn't want to. A hank of bread, and we're not hungry at the moment apparently. And medicine, you're getting old. No taking chances out there. And we have 80 coins, which, has typically not been useful for anything terribly so far. So, who can we speak to? Well, here's J Deep. And there's some guards. Why don't we talk to J Deep? He's likely to... Oh, well, here we go. I didn't even have to click on him. Alright, J Deep doesn't like us very much. He's disgusted with us. He's disdainful of us. But he is a little bit afraid of us. He says, "We'll slap my head and burn out my eyes. The mercenary captain's actually wearing his sword today. I hope you've kept it sharp because your men and mine are going to have a long day ahead of us if we want there to be a Bimra tomorrow." I could be blunt and say, "And I hope you're not going to use that gaggle of thugs that you call your men to keep peace." I could be unshaken and say, "I've heard that mess before. Bimra's battered and rotten, but it'll keep another few centuries. You watch." I could be collected and say, might as well work together. I'll give you my plans if you give me yours." Well, let's offer to be cooperative. If he doesn't take it, we can always be a jerk later. So let's say might as well work together. Work together? After all this is over, you find Ranveer and you talk to him, 1-to-1. He'll decide if we can work together. Collected. Or I could just say right. I could be sarcastic and say, "My mistake, coming to you like you were a real leader." I could be companionable and say, "Oh, come on, nothing you want to tell me? Nothing at all?" I think I'll just say right. You'll see what we've got in mind soon enough. Until then, keep your guard up. Well, that's probably good advice. Alright, we have a new character entry for J Deep, so let's click on that. Ranveer's partner, he keeps the closest thing to peace in the slums, but it's Ranveer's peace all over. Alright. And I guess, can we talk to the guards here? The guard steadies your spear as you approach and stands to attention. Okay, yeah, okay. I don't think they have much to say to us. Alright, this appears to be the council. There's some council scribes here. There's some servants to, fan us, I suppose. Alright, let's talk to Rhea. Take your seat, Shyam. We're late as it is. Ranveer, Counselor VJ, Laxmi. I don't know that I'm going to be able to speak to any of them until I sit down, but I'll just try. Yeah, that's right. They're all telling me to, sit my butt down. Okay. Please take my seat. Alright, so Counselor VJ is leading the discussion, and he says, "And the mercenary captain finally arrives. Scribe, take note. All members are in attendance." I could be blunt and say, "Sorry I'm late." Dispatching the scouts. I could be wry and say, "Well, were you waiting on me? Thought this was an emergency." I could sit silently. Let's be blunt. Say, "Sorry I'm late. I was dispatching the scouts." There's no other way to put this, so I'll just lay it out straight. The slums have erupted into riots with no identifiable pretext. Ranveer's man J Deep reports that these riots have been sporadic, they began nearly simultaneously in different parts of the slums, and that they seem to have spread. I can be patient and say, "Do we have a plan for containment?" I can be sober and say, "Right, I'll send some boys in there to clean up." I can be wry and say, "Now, aren't you glad you've got all my men scrambled and standing the defensive lines?" I think I'll be patient and say, "Do we have a plan for containment?" Well, we do. This is Ranveer speaking now. We do. J Deep's men are equal to the task of keeping order within the slums. Meanwhile, you and your men will stand the defensive line and make sure the riots don't spread into the city proper. Be moderate and say, "All right, I suppose that works out." I could be sarcastic and say, "We're entrusting J Deep to do what? Help round up all the Naga?" I could be decisive and say, "I want my men in the field giving oversight. Otherwise, this doesn't work." I don't really know what to say here, and honestly, I'm not sure how much... Well, I was about to say I'm not sure how much it matters, but yeah, I really don't know. I guess I'll say, alright, I suppose that works out. And we'll see what happens from there. This is Rhea speaking now, in case you can't read it on the screen, on the YouTube video. But she says, excuse me, are you all really going to sit there and let him get away with this? Is he even going to deny that he's going to use this chaos to eliminate the Naga from the slums? I could be blunt and say he has the resources to deal with our problem. He can do whatever he wants. I could be demanding and say, do you have any proof to back that up, or are you just spitting? Or I could be moderate and say, well, Ranveer, I've been pretty moderate so far, so I suppose this would be in keeping with the way we've been playing the character. I also know that Ranveer doesn't like us very much. I'm also not terribly inclined to like Ranveer just a ton after what we've seen of him in this Let's Play so far. So why don't we kind of put the ball in his court and see how he deals with it. Alright, it is natural for the Naga Counselor to be concerned for her people, just as it is natural for me to be concerned for mine. I will promise her only this: making the slums safe is all I care about. I could be tired and say, that'll have to be good enough. Let's move on. I could be moderate and say, Rhea, is that satisfactory? I could be accusatory and say, what kind of answer to her concerns is that? Well, I think this is weird, because it's like I'm leading this discussion, and I'm not the boss. I mean, you know, VJ's the guy who's kind of in charge, but, you know, I guess given the mechanics of the game, you know, this is probably the way it has to work, so we just won't bother too much about that. I'll say, Rhea, is that satisfactory? She says, I can't believe all of you, as if my people haven't suffered enough. I can be blunt and say, they're not your people, they're refugees. They're nobody's people. I could be sober and say, everyone's suffering out there, Rhea. Nothing Bimra can do about it. I could be impatient and say, well, what do you want from us, Rhea? I need to stay on the defensive line. It's down to J-Deep. Or I could be moderate and say, VJ, she has a point. Let's throw her a bone. You know, I don't know of any reason why this character should necessarily be overtly hostile towards the Naga. I mean, obviously, you know, it's not his... You know, J-Deep's really the one, and, well, J-Deep and Ranveer are really the ones who seem really anti-Naga. And since we don't seem to like Ranveer or J-Deep very much, why don't we kind of back up the Naga here and just see if we can get Ranveer to squirm a little bit. VJ, she has a point. Let's say that one right here, number 4. Let's see. I think Ranveer can agree that a few men sent to monitor his defense of the slums is a reasonable concession. Ranveer? To monitor J-Deep's defense, you mean? Yes. If Shyam wishes to speak with me to arrange such a thing, I'll be in my encampment. Excuse me. Alright, now this is VJ again. I don't know if you people realize it, but this city could go either way tonight. The slums do not matter. No offense to Ranveer or Rhea, but they don't. They could burn down tonight and Bimra would remain intact. But we only need one noble family to get killed by a mob of wandering thugs for our entire state to dissolve out of fear and, frankly, well-deserved contempt. We will only have one chance at this. I'm out of here. I can't stand listening to you people any longer. Shyam, if you want to talk city defense, feel free to stay. Everyone else has their tasks to accomplish. Oh, okay. Everybody, engaged their warp engines and zapped out of there. Alright, let's check out our map. It is apparently updated, and VJ's over there, so we'll, I expect, go talk to him, and we'll try to talk to Laxmi as well. Alright, we've got, well, it said this updated, but I don't see anything that's different here. Yeah, All this looks the same to me. That's fine. Let's check out our active quest. We should check with Master Sergeant. Check in with Master Sergeant. Okay. Why don't we... Let's come down here and try to talk to Laxmi. This is not what I needed to deal with today. VJ should understand there are crises beyond the slums. I could be sober and say, problem in the farmlands. I could be impatient and say, look, don't bother me with what's going on with your territory. I've got my problems, you've got yours. I could be dismissive and say, nothing you've got could be this bad. Or I could say, sorry. I think I'll ask about problems in the farmlands. Someone has left my lands. In famine, every peasant wants to go somewhere things might be easier. But doing that rather contributes to the famine. If I don't punish the culprit soon and publicly, others will follow that example, and I will have a mass exodus at worst, or a bitter inflammatory campaign of punishments at best. I can already feel the winds beginning to pick up. I'm going back. A messenger might come by a little later on my behalf. I don't have time to wait for him. I believe he'll have some things to request of you. Alright, she's vanished. Wow, people come and go so quickly here. Okay, we've got some bookshelves. Why don't we see what they have to say? Or not. Maybe? Well, I'm clicking on them. Okay, here we go. The bookshelves literally tower over you, weighed down by hundreds of volumes. In the time since the Regicide, VJ has moved in an impressive collection. Some titles catch your eye. The Lost Family, The Scribe and the Princess, The Beast Invisible, and The Secrets of Verbs and Advancement. We're going to, I'm not going to read all this. I'm going to take all of them, and we are going to check them out. Alright, Herbs and Advancement. It would be a fool who would turn base things to gold, when a drop of commoner stuff can reduce vital things to the unliving. That sounds like it's about poison. The Beast Invisible. And that invisible thing that struck men down had no name, but the ones travelers whispered to themselves, and no cure. That sounds like disease. The Scribe and Princess. He was most embarrassed by his humble clothes, his humble trade, his humble birth. And the Lost Family. The lost people become icons of themselves. The reasons to love are remembered, and the reasons to hate fade away. Now, can we, boy, oh wait, there we go. It's a little finicky trying to click on the bookshelves, but I think we've managed it. Alright, we're going to take all of these books as well. There appear to be quite a few of them, so I'm not going to read all the titles right this second. We'll look at them here in our journal. Alright, Theories of Chaos, Volume 2. Do not reject chaos. Chaos is a natural part of the world's energy. Using it productively is as important as maintaining harmony with oneself. The Rose Mysterious. She had to face the idea that her mother's secrets would be terrible to contemplate, and yet she could not help but pursue them. Hinterland. And so he traveled into another land of different kings and queens and ways of life, and he was terrified at the many things he saw. And Curtains Fall is the last one. So what could have caused the caravan of Bimra's textiles to disappear? The Naga Empire was suspected naturally, as they were just coming into their own as traitors. Okay. You know, I'm not really certain, I've got to admit, I'm not really certain if this is flavor text, so to speak. You know, kind of like if you've ever played Oblivion or Skyrim, you can find a lot of books in those games. You know, I don't think any of them are necessarily required for you to read them, but they add a lot of interest to the and you know, kind of richness to the game world, and so can be very interesting. I will confess to having read all the books in Oblivion and most of the books in Skyrim, just because I thought it was really kind of cool that they were there. But I don't know if this game is kind of following in that line or not. There's some more books we can read out here, so why don't we do that before we talk to VJ? Okay. Alright, there's 2 titles here, so we'll grab them. And we'll, let's check them out in the journal. The first is 3 Orphans. The sky was gone, only gray remained. All artifice beneath it failed. But men, in their infinite tenacity, endured to forge an empire from iron rails and columns of light. And the bandits. Though base and low men by birth, the land they were in was cruel to those both high and low, and in usurping the ruler, the bandits offered a great service. Okay. Let's check out these other bookshelves while we're here, and gosh, it's just a little... There we go. It's not easy to click on. Alright, let me grab all these books, and then we will... Let's check them out here. Alright, the love book. She ran to him with wild abandon, and as he saw her, he leapt from his horse and brought himself into her arms. Alright, the journeys of the pale man. What follows being an account of this man who came from faraway places and treated our people as mere sidelines of his own natural legend. This book is called The World Around Us. The nature of all things is known to priests to be more complex and yet far more natural and simple than many intuitively sense. And standing by the ruins, they dwell upon the ruined structures of their former empires, those men of the South, and dare to condemn their own heritage. Alright. And again, like I said, I don't really know just how, just how important these things might be, but we are going to take a look at all of them anyway, just in case. Alright, Advanced Grammar. This book is given to the Princess Asha, daughter of Bimra. Phonology of Bimra. The phonetic inventory of our language is shared with cultures of the north, such as the Naga Empire, but not peoples from the south and east. That's interesting, that the humans, at least in this area, and the Naga share linguistic similarities. Auspicious signs. A creature of deceit and creature of man's better nature walked hand in hand to prevent the final closing of all things. And formulas of brewing. Medicine, such as those created in other places, cannot be easily found in Bimra, which has no forum for philosophical collaboration. Okay, now this one... Okay, all the little arrows went away except this one. Did I miss something on this shelf? Oh, that's interesting. There seems to be something hidden behind the other volumes. Let's click on that. A sheaf of papers is pressed up against the back of the shelf. It appears to be a draft of pears and pugilism. This one looks bizarre. Pugilism, for those who don't know, is another word for fisticuffs or boxing. Let's check it out. He donned the red mask again. Today he would fight for his fare. Today and every day, until his stomach filled or the alleys emptied. So, we have read all the books that there are to read, at least as it would appear. Are there any other bookshelves? I don't see any other bookshelves. Alright, let's talk to VJ, as I'm sure he'll have a few things to say. Honestly, that could have gone better. I could be wry and say, could it though? I could be blunt and say, we need to talk about what happened there. Or I could be impatient and say, should we move on to what needs to be done? I think I'll be wry and say, could it though? Probably not. Shyam, I'm in no mood to debate anything, so I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, which is that the two of us didn't sacrifice our health and our principles for this city just to watch a pack of beggars tear it apart, did we? You know what you need to do. Go protect Bimra, because right now, nobody else can. Shyam, there's one actual reason I wanted to talk to you. The royal spy we turned assassin survived. I could be blunt and say, good, he didn't deserve for you to betray him like that. I could be tired and say, what? Where has he been? Or I could be wry and say, that's bad, isn't it? I'm going to be wry and say, that's bad. It's not good, no. The people of this city have always wanted somebody to blame for problems that were unavoidable, and right now, there just might be the potential for a loyalist backlash. We do not want that. We are no good to Bimra if we are dead. I could be impatient and say, I can tell this is leading up to an order I'm not going to like. I could be blunt and say, so we'll kill him. VJ, just speak plain to me. I don't need everything justified. I could be sober and say, when you put it like that, I can see how he'd be a problem. I think I'll choose this last choice here. When you put it like that, I can see how he would be a problem. If you come across the man, do what you have to do. Remember, there's more than our lives at stake if things come to a coup. Bimra can't survive another traumatic turnover of leadership. Alright, so I'm not really sure what we should do now. Should check in with Master Sergeant. Now, I don't really know where that is. Perhaps it is outside. Let's see if we can leave. Because I don't think there's anybody else here except for these guards, and they don't really seem to want to talk to us very much. Alright, here we are outside. Let's check our map. Okay. And let's see if we can talk to this guy. Is he the sergeant? Yes. Okay. Meeting go well, sir. I could be blunt and say, as my last fist fight with a Naga. I could be collected and say, as well as they ever go. And, or I could be wry and say, let's just say it cheered me up a little. I think I'll be collected and say, as well as they ever go. We've got the borders covered. I've made a survey of who's left on the defensive line. 10 squads reported in with enough men to make 7 squads. The rest are looting or quit or just didn't show up today. We also have scouts bringing in reports on the slums, perimeter, and interior. Sooner or later, we'll have to pull back some of the men to hear your more explicit instructions, sir. Any idea what those will be? Okay. I could be tired and say just to do what I'm told, but I'll have to tell them how I want the defense carried out. I could be fiery and say, to tell the truth, I'm planning on marching men into the slums. I could be collected and say, nah, I better talk to the scouts first, get some idea of what I'm dealing with. Let's do that. Let's talk to the scouts. More information is always better than less, right? As you say. Well, before you send out the men, the council paymaster and an advocate of Laxmi's both wanted to speak with you. They're around here somewhere. We also need to appoint a new sergeant now that Mahit deserted. Meet me by the gates to the encampment when you're ready, and I'll assemble the men. Alright, so our map has updated. We've got... Oh, there's the assassin. And potential sergeants and veterans and disgruntled troops. A slain Naga is over here, and refugees, and the payroll master, and Laxmi's messenger. Alright. Let's see if these guards will speak to us in any way. No, not really. I don't expect this one really will either. Okay, sir. Well, thank you very much. Alright. Alright, I'm not really sure what's happening here. And these people, they don't really have much to tell us. Let's kind of maneuver over towards, Laxmi's messenger and such as that. Which I believe was in this general direction. Okay, there's Laxmi's messenger and there's the payroll master. The servant says another crack. This place has been falling apart since, well, yeah. Oh, and here's J-Deep's men in Ranveer. Okay, they're not really talking to us. J-Deep's man, J-Deep's man. Let's speak to Ranveer. Shyam, I'm glad you've come. I respect that you're very busy, and so I will get directly to the point. What are your intentions tonight? Alright. I can be blunt and say my intentions are just to hold the defensive line, so whatever you're up to, you can relax. I can be caring and say my intentions are to avoid as much suffering as possible, human, Naga, whatever. Or I can be demanding and say we both know the more important question is what are your intentions? I'm tempted to give this response right here. I mean, obviously, these two guys are not huge fans of each other. And, I mean, it's pretty clear that Ranveer has his own, agenda. So, I think I'm going to go with number 3. What are your intentions? I admire your directness. My goal, in its simplest form, is to make the slums safe and healthy. I want work for those who can and enough food and medicine to care for those who can't. I want peace and the end to base, low survivalist behavior. This is what I've risked everything for. I can be proactive and say I can respect that. I can say that's not what I'm talking about and you know it. I can be reflective and say I don't believe you. If you really wanted to end suffering, you'd take care of the Naga. That's probably a fair point. Gosh, what to respond here? I'm tempted to either be blunt or reflective. And I'm really leaning towards this third one here. Say if you really wanted to end suffering, you'd take care of the Naga. I'm going to choose this one. Number 3. I don't believe you. Shyam, the Naga have no right to be in Bimra's slums at all. It's bitterly amusing how everyone from the royals to Vijay has insisted the slums aren't part of the city, in one breath, and decided who gets to live in them with the next. If you're not going to take care of your people or even acknowledge them, what right do you have to rule them? So I have listened. I have taken responsibility. The exodus or eradication of the Naga is what the people want, and tonight I will give it to them. Okay. I could be grounded and say, you think you're the rightful ruler of the slums? A good ruler knows when to say no. I could be patient and say, so what, you're just going to give the people what they want? I was told you taught them to hate the Naga. I could be blunt and say, you can stop there. I'm not going to sit here and listen to you justify your insanity. I think I'm going to choose number 2. Let's confront him with his, hate speech that he's been tossing out into the world. I imagine you were. Nobody ever asked a slum dweller what they thought, not until I received my vision of Banka Mundi and went out to speak with them. I learned then of their hatred for the Naga, and it was only when I gave them a voice, organized them, that the city proper bothered to pay attention, and even then, they only listened when I used that voice to shout. I could be uncharitable and say, I don't care if everyone out there agrees with you. Nobody anywhere has the right to kill people they don't like. I could be grounded and say, so who's there to give the slum Naga a voice? Only the humans get a say in things? I could be pragmatic and say, I hate to say it, but I'm starting to see your point. The slums deserve some control over their destiny. Excuse me. I think I'm going to say, so who's there to give the slum Naga a voice? Why do only humans get a say? Why should they have a voice? They are invaders. You don't suffer the complaints of occupying forces. You drive them out. The idea that these Naga live there rightfully is a story the royals told the Naga Empire, but not one the slums, long ignored, long despised, ever believed. Enough, Shyam. Your whole job is to keep undesirables out of Bimra with the use of force. If you're going to deny the slums the same privilege, at least have the grace to admit that you're a hypocrite. I could be uncharitable and say there's a difference between keeping back rioters and killing people who have nowhere to go. I could be reflective and say, you're insane. You really do believe everything you say, don't you? Or I could be grounded and say, I don't know. I'm finding it hard to disagree with any of this. I think I'm going to be reflective and call him insane, because I think he's insane. When a man calls me insane, I know only that he hasn't seen what I've seen, and to be fair, few have. Does this mean you will not let me do what I must? I could be blunt and say, yeah, it does. Or I could be uncharitable and say, I will stop you no matter what it costs me, I promise you that. Or I will say, no, it means I don't want to get involved at all. Do what you have to do out there. Well, I think that we're not going to let him, if we can help it, just run roughshod over the Naga. So we're going to say, yeah, it does. Then you're going to have a fight on your hands. I've already given J-Deep his final orders, and where he's gone, I couldn't follow if I wanted to. I have no doubt there will be a reckoning when the dust has cleared, and I have considerable doubt that I will survive it. But I have faith yet that the slums will be healed tonight. I hope you reconsider. For the slums, for your men, and for Bimra, I hope you reconsider. Alright, our journal has updated. And Master Sergeant says things are bad out there. Also, gotta collect men's pay, appoint a new sergeant out of 3 candidates, and it's time to give orders. Alright, that's our quest, and we do have to talk to some of these guys that we are actually kind of supposed to be talking to. But that will have to wait until next time. So until then, I hope you're doing well. Hope you continue to do well. And when I get back from my little business trip, I will be posting more videos here in 2 or 3 days. So I hope you'll pick back up with the series if you've been following it this far. And I'll catch you in the next one.